Today's show, we're going to be talking about Jared Goff in the MVP conversation. Yes, it's 100% real. We're definitely going to get into that. Playoff seeding after this past week and the Lions' victory over the Vikings. Where do the Lions sit at? They are at the top of the NFC. Za'Darius Smith basically begging to be a Detroit Lion. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about Lions and Titans. Let's go. Before we kick this show off, do you believe that Jared Goff should be in the MVP conversation? Why for yes and for no? Give me your thoughts. Lions are home facing the Titans, and they are heavy favorites in this game. Why is that? Because the Lions are one of the best teams in football. Titans are one of the worst teams in football. Lions are 5-1. They are second in the NFL with 30.3 points per game. Their defense is allowing 19.4, ninth in the NFL. The Tennessee Titans are 1-5. They're only putting up 17.7 points per game on offense, 27th in the NFL. In defense, they're allowing 24. That's 22nd in the NFL. The Detroit Lions are heavy favorites here. They're 11.5 favorites in this game. It's a 1 p.m. game. It's at Ford Field. The total over and under is 46.5, and the Titans are gigantic underdogs in this game. What do I think about this line? I think the line is just right. The Lions are one of the best teams, if not the best team. I think they're the best team in football. And Titans are literally one of the worst teams in football. They're there with the Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants as the team they're trying to compete for that number 1 overall draft pick. So Lions should easily go to 6-1 as we head to Green Bay after that game and another big NFC North showdown. But that's just me. What do you guys think? Do you think that the Detroit Lions are going to win this game? If you do, put DET in the comments. If you think the Titans upset the Lions, put TEN. Let's get into Jared Goff because he is in the MVP conversation. His stats this year is 1,610 yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a QBR of 58. And you say, that's not that big of a deal, but let's go look at his last 3 games, and he has been magnificent against the Titans. Perfect. 18 for 18, 292, 2 touchdowns, in a quarterback rating of 155.8 versus the Dallas Cowboys, 18 for 25, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns, a rating of 153.8. And obviously what happened yesterday, 22 for 25, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, a rating of 140. Jared Goff is absolutely fundamentally in this MVP race. And you say, Mike, you're just a homer. Well, let's talk about SI.com, and this is what they said. Goff delivered whenever the Lions needed to score in a hurry, evident by 3 touchdown drives in the second quarter, and wherever the Lions needed completion to control the time of possession, 7 players caught a pass from Goff on Sunday. As for the mother reason why Goff is the front runner for MVP, Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones all struggled against Flores-led defenses earlier this season, and here are more reasons why the near-perfect Goff is a strong MVP candidate, and you can read the rest in there for the SI article. And it's not just SI, it's all over the place. You got ESPN talking about it, NFL Network talking about it, all the writers. Yes, it sounds crazy, but he 100% is in the race to be MVP. He's actually the 4th best odds right now in betting to be the MVP. And look, if he keeps this up, he 110% should be in the conversation. I honestly think Josh Allen is probably sitting there right now at number 1. He has been fantastic. You got Patrick Mahomes in there as well. But Jared Goff is right there. There's no doubt about it. And I'm loving what Jared Goff is doing right here. He keeps it up. There's no doubt about it. And I think people still live off Jared Goff in the Rams. They still live off of what happened to him with the Rams, how everything went over there. And so they're a little skeptical about Jared Goff in that conversation. But we got to stop with the nonsense. He has been great in Detroit. Great. He has been great. There's only been one bad part of his game, really, is the first half of the first season he was here when he had nobody. So he has been a very good player for Detroit. And they always talked about him under pressure. He can't do anything under pressure. We've heard that, right? You've heard that. I've heard that. in this past game, he was under pressure 58%. He was getting blitzed quite a bit. Matter of fact, he was getting touched. And you seen him, his eyes staring at the receiver, even though, granted, he's got his arm, and he just delivers the pass, not skittish. That is amazing work by Jared Goff. It 100% is. And, the reason we're playing so well is this whole team's doing good, but also it's because Jared Goff has been phenomenal, and he's playing at an MVP level. And it's undeniable at this point. And I know there's probably Goff haters out there say, oh, you're just a homer and all this and that. It's just not the case. He's just playing phenomenal. And that's why we're in the position we are right now with this football team. But maybe you disagree. So, again, we're going to ask you, do you believe that Jared Goff should be in the MVP conversation? Why for yes and for no? Let's go ahead and jump into the NFC playoff seeding really quick, and a lot has occurred. That was good. Obviously, the Detroit Lions won their game. They're sitting up top of the NFC with the best record in the NFC at 5-1, beating the Minnesota Vikings. No other team right now is above Detroit as we're sitting there. Yeah, Minnesota Vikings got the same record as Lions at 5-1, but we just beat them. They're sitting at the 5 seed. Washington Commanders are sitting at the number 2 seed, 5-2. With their hell of a great start, it looks like they're going to win their division for sure. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who beat the Lions, are sitting at the number 3 seed. They got a good squad, clearly. Seattle Seahawks with a great win. They're 4-2. There's no 3 there. There's just a screw up there. We got the Minnesota Vikings are sitting at the number 5 seed because they lost to the Lions. The Green Bay Packers, 5-2 record, really good, and we got to face them in 2 weeks. And that's going to be a hell of a showdown. They're sitting at the number 6 seed, and again, that's probably going to determine, because I expect the Packers win on Sunday against the Jaguars, and then it could again be for the NFC North. Chicago Bears sitting at the 7 seed at 4-2. All NFC North teams right now are sitting in the playoffs. That is absolutely crazy if you ask me. Lions are right there. I do think they're the number 1 team in the NFC. I do believe they get the number 1 seed. And that is huge because we're going to need a bye week after having an early bye week for the playoffs. And I think the Lions really, generally speaking, it's not that big of a deal to get the bye week, whatever. Sometimes you don't want that rest. I think the Lions would definitely need that rest. And if you look at the last 2 games, 49ers and Vikings, and honestly, that Vikings game, who knows how it plays out. Maybe both teams are completely secure at their spot and seeding in the playoffs, that both teams are playing their backups. It very well could be, or it could be for the NFC North Championship. But that's going to be an intriguing game how it goes. But again, the Lions do need that bye week because Aidan Hutchinson potentially could come back, and we're going to talk about him right now. And Aidan Hutchinson gave an update to everybody. He says surgery went great, which is all good news. Detroit Lions coach had he upgraded this. He says, I kind of mentioned this yesterday, but Hutch is a captain for us. He's highly productive, great player, does everything right, and he's been having one hell of a game, one hell of a season, and it looks like it hurts to lose him. Somebody like him, but not only the player, but the position, locker room leader he is. It was a clean break. All reports, Aidan Hutchinson spoke. He made a video, and Adam Schefter reported, and I 100% concur that this is possible, that he comes back for the Super Bowl. Aidan Hutchinson had a very clean break. There was no crazy and structural damage or anything like that. There was no complications to the surgery. Everything went great. And imagine if he came back for the Super Bowl, the NFC Championship game. So if that's the case, the Lions get a bye week, say we win the first game in the playoffs, he potentially could be back for the championship game. He could be. And if the Lions have an opportunity to acquire a player in the draft, maybe we could have a lethal defensive line. Lethal. And that's going to bring me to my next point right here. And we have a player in Za'Darius Smith who's kind of begging right now to become a Detroit Lion. Za'Darius Smith is all but asking, please, please, please come to Detroit. He spoke to the media when I think it was it last week that it occurred, but he spoke to the media and it was quite funny when he said this. He goes, if I was to go to Detroit, I would be like, because I get to play Green Bay twice a year and the Vikings twice a year, Smith said, the Chronicles Telegram this week. So, yeah, that'll be big. He later added, I'm staying positive, but now you say that, I might be a good look. Good for me, for real. Smith, with his stats here so far this season, 12 solo tackles, 4 sacks, 0 forced fumbles, and you didn't see it, but it says 5 quarterback hits. I don't think it would cost much at all to get a Za'Darius Smith. I don't think it would cost really anything that much, maybe a 5th-round pick, something of that nature. So question for you, should the Lions trade for Za'Darius Smith? T for trade or P for pass? Let me know in the comments right now. Again, we go back to Za'Darius Smith. I don't know what it would take, maybe a 5th-round pick, something of that nature. You put him on this defensive line. Our pressures yesterday was not good. I know we got 4 sacks, but if you look at the edge, it was difficult to get to the quarterback. Sam Darnold was doing reads. He was doing double reads, and that's just because our secondary is so good and our interior of the defensive line is really good. So I think adding a player to the Lions' defensive line in the trade deadline is exactly what the Lions must do in this game. And I think that's something that they will do. I don't know if it's going to be Za'Darius Smith. It could be Smith, right? It could be him. It could be somebody else. But the Lions need to make a move to get a player on this defensive line. They do. We're 5-1. Let's continue. We're right now heavy favorites to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Right now, if you were to ask me the way things are going, it's going to be Lions and Kansas City for the Super Bowl, and we're going to need pass rush. There's no doubt about it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Who would you trade for? All of that. With that said, folks, adios.